Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Puro Pinche Sports. I'm your host, Jose Garza, and tonight we're keeping up with the theme from the last video. We're going to do a predictions video for a wrestling show, and not just any wrestling show, the wrestling show, WrestleMania, the biggest show of them all, the Super Bowl of the WWE, the NBA Finals, the biggest thing of them all for WWE is WrestleMania, something that's been going on since the mid-1980s. This is going to be huge. This is going to be big. Or is it? I don't know. There's a lot of people feeling like it's going to be a show because there's no Brock Lesnar. There's no Goldberg. There's no John Cena. There's no, the biggest names possible. But it's not about the past. It's about creating wrestlers for the future. And that's pretty much what this card is. This showcases the future. And some of the old. There will be some wrestlers, if you don't know, if you don't keep up with the program right now, that there are some of the wrestlers from 20 years ago, almost 30 years ago, like going to be on the card this weekend for not just one night, but for 2 nights. Night 1 is on Saturday. Night 2 is on Sunday. And don't forget, guys, tonight is night 1 of NXT TakeOver. Again, if you saw the episode 12 predictions, you know which wrestlers I picked to win. If you haven't checked that out yet, check it out before the show tonight. It's gonna be a lot of fun, good matches. So without further ado, let's get started here. WrestleMania 37 predictions. Ooh, all right. Cesaro versus Seth Rollins in a grudge match. Cesaro being the best in-ring, strongest in-ring competitor there is in WWE for the longest time. Since I think he made his debut in WWE about 10 years ago, about 2011. And man, people have been clamoring for him to finally reach, the top. And this is, mind you, man, this is a guy who's been wrestling in the indie scene for a super long time. Tag team competitor, multiple tag team champions, former United States champion. He takes on one of the best, one of the absolute best wrestlers in the world today, in Seth Rollins. Multiple-time world champion, multiple-time Intercontinental champion, tag team champion, United States champion, and NXT champion, the first ever. It's going to be good. I'm going to go with this one. I'm going to pick Cesaro. He's got the momentum right now. He's the up and rising star. He's getting the momentum that many feel he should have had following WrestleMania 30. So this is like 7 years later for a lot of people. I mean, yes, people have been clamoring for before that, but WrestleMania 30, he had the big moment when he lifted up the Big Show over his shoulder and dumped him out the ring to win the Andre the Battle Royale. Ooh, but hopefully now it's time. And guys, if you hear anything in the background, like someone screaming, that's just my kid. He's having fun. He's playing in his room right now. All right, next match. Tag team turmoil match for a shot at the tag team titles. This is my dog right here. This is Weddle. He's being weird right now. All right, we got Dana Brooke and Mandy Rose versus Lana and Naomi versus Natalya and Tamina versus the Riott Squad, which is Ruby Riott and Liv Morgan. All right, say bye, Weddle. Mwah. Oh, get your leg caught. All right. This is pretty much no disrespect to the ladies. This is a filler match. This is something just to get out the way. So they're basically doing a fatal 4-way. It's either a fatal 4-way or a gauntlet match. I forget what they mean for that. Basically, the winner, whoever stands tall, which is last, they'll get the title shot for the women's tag titles the following night. This is all night 1. I'm going to the night 1 matches first. Didn't clarify that. But that's what I'm doing right now. Night 1 matches first. This is part of night 1. It really doesn't matter who wins this, honestly, because I already know who I'm going to say is going to win the following night. So just to pick a team, Natalya and Tamina. They've had the best momentum going into it. Next match, the stupidest match in the card. And not only stupid because Shane McMahon's been calling Braun Strowman, but Braun, calling them stupid, showing them report cards, and like how Braun was stupid as a kid and stuff like that. So, and Braun being the big giant 6'9" guy, gonna fight for all kids who were bullied back then against the rich, spoiled white kids, which is what this is. Not a good storyline. It's very low for both men's standards. I mean, from what we know and like about them. So a lot of people are saying Braun Strowman is going to win so he can overcome the bully. I'm actually going to pick opposite. I'm going to say Shane McMahon. This is a steel cage match, so you can win multiple ways. You can escape the cage from climbing over or going through the door. Basically, your feet just have to touch first. Or you get pinned or submitted in the ring. I think Braun Strowman's going to throw Shane McMahon like a rag doll, and he's going to throw him through the cage, and then Shane McMahon's feet are going to hit the floor, and he's going to win. That's exactly how I envision it. And that's what I'm expecting. And if that doesn't happen and Braun wins, okay, cool. He beat a mid-40-year-old McMahon who can't throw a punch. Yeah. Oh, the celebrity match of night one. Grammy award-winning Latin superstar Bad Bunny and Damian Priest, an actual wrestler, take on The Miz and John Morrison. Bad Bunny. He's a big wrestling fan, so I give him a lot of props for getting in the ring and training. But he just doesn't look like the part to like even take on The Miz or John Morrison. It's not believable. But that's why he has Damian Priest. It's been an okay build-up since the Royal Rumble. You know, when The Miz got turned down by Bad Bunny to do a collaboration together, and then he destroys Bad Bunny's DJ set, and then they have this little, back and forth feud. Bad Bunny and Damian Priest, they're gonna win. I mean, it's a celebrity, right? And this is to build up also Damian Priest. Mind you, he's like in his late 30s, so he's new in WWE regardless. So, but it's gonna be what it is. I'm hoping for Bad Bunny to surprise us and do one hell of a job. But I'm gonna tell you right now, there's gonna be a match for a bathroom break in each night. This won't be it. I think the tag turmoil match between the women are. But this is a close second. This is a close second. And for the Raw Tag Team Championship, it's the New Day versus AJ Styles and Omos. And yes, guys, I know it's the way it's spelled out is Omos, but the pronunciation is Omos. Don't ask me why. It is what it is. I'm not the spelling bee expert. I'm not the English teacher. But this is going to be Omos's debut match. So this man is a giant of a man. Giant. About 7 foot tall. He dwarfs all competitors in this match. AJ Styles, being his tag team partner, is one of the best athletes ever in the last 20 years. And he dwarfs him. So that's his tag team partner. So quick prediction, new champions. There's no reason the New Day is going to win this match. They've never actually won a WrestleMania match as a group. The New Day has been around since late 2014. And except for Kofi Kingston's WWE Championship win, the New Day as a team has never won a match at WrestleMania. And I believe that trend is going to continue this weekend. So new tag team champs, AJ Styles and Omos, and AJ Styles will become a Grand Slam champion since he's become WWE, the United States, and Intercontinental Champion, and now will be Tag Team Champion. SmackDown's Women's Championship, a match people believe should be the main event of night one because Bianca Belair is the Royal Rumble winner. Sasha Banks has been the dominant champion since October. These women are hell talented. Some of the best. The storyline has not been that great. The build-up for this matchup has not been that great. Sasha Banks should have been a bad or heel in this case. I was going to say bad girl. Then, yeah, no. Since it was Bianca picked her, they should have gone at it and been, but they were put as a tag team to challenge for the tag titles twice. And it just made no sense. They never even, I don't think, won as a team except for maybe one time. Actually, no one ever. They've challenged for the titles 3 times, and they've never won once. So, I don't know. Bianca Belair has all the momentum. She's the young one. She's the Rook, as Sasha Banks likes to call her. And I see Bianca Belair overcoming the odds and defeating Sasha Banks and making sure Sasha Banks still doesn't get her first win at WrestleMania. And the main event of night one, Bobby Lashley, the almighty WWE champion, set to defend his title against Drew McIntyre. Drew McIntyre is a two-time WWE champion, won his first title at last year's WrestleMania. Bobby Lashley is currently in his first reign as WWE champion after 16 years being in the business. He finally became champion himself. Both men struggled a long way to get to where they are today. Mind you, both men at one point had left the business after being proclaimed as being the next big stars. Bobby Lashley, he left in 2007. I think he was going to try to portray like an MMA career. Well, shut up. My dog. Drew McIntyre got fired about 2014, 2013. Went into TNA or Impact Wrestling, went to indie shows, got better. Now both men came back not too long ago, a few years ago. Both were heels. Bobby Lashley's still heel. McIntyre's a face. Clash of Titans in this match. We've seen it before. They fought once last year. I want to say the pay-per-view was Backlash or Money in the Bank. It's one of the early events after WrestleMania last year. But last time Drew McIntyre was a champion, Bobby was a challenger. Bobby's a champion now. I look at Bobby Lashley to retain his title. He just won it 6 weeks ago over The Miz. I don't want to see a transitional championship, which pretty much means that he won it and he loses quickly back to like someone else. No, I don't want that. Drew McIntyre was two-time champions in the last 365 days. Two-time champion. And he held on to the title for over 300 days. Miz had it for 8. Randy Orton had for like 22. And now Bobby Lashley's had it for like going to be essentially 6 weeks. So like, no, let's keep the title on Bobby Lashley. He's the best big thing right now. Guys, look up his entrance right now. Like they're making him like a god, like with lightning and pyro and just he's a badass right now. The way he's kicking everyone's ass. Let's not lose momentum just to put the title on Drew McIntyre. And I get it. Drew McIntyre won the title last year with no fans, with no crowd to like pump him up like for his big celebration. But he's had his time, and he will have more opportunities. Bobby Lashley's in his mid-40s. Bobby Lashley is 44 years old, I believe, and as great a physique he's in great shape, he's fucking looking fantastic. I don't know how much longer he wants to do this. He's also a former Bellator heavyweight competitor. So he's been fighting, he's been wrestling, he's powerlifting also. His body is eventually gonna like want to slow him down a little bit. Let's keep the momentum and let's keep Bobby as champion so that eventually this summer at SummerSlam we get Bobby Lashley, Brock Lesnar at SummerSlam, one-on-one for the WWE Championship. Let's make that happen. Let's not kid ourselves. Let's make that happen. Drew's had his time. He's great. But let's keep it on Lashley, and that's what I'm going to go with. Lashley is going to be the winner. So that ends night one. Night two, big grudge match. The Fiend, Bray Wyatt, with Alexa Bliss versus Randy Orton. The Fiend has been haunting Randy Orton since Randy Orton became WWE champion, actually. Around that time, when he became WWE champion for the 14th time in October after he won in Hell in a Cell, he's pretty much been stalked by Bray Wyatt. Stalked, fought. They had an Firefly Inferno match back in December. Randy Orton set the Fiend on fire. They put a wax doll in there, so the whole thing freaking melted. It looked pretty cool. Visually, it looked cool. Like everything they did in that match was like awesome. This is their second WrestleMania match against one another. Bray Wyatt fought Randy Orton back at WrestleMania 33. This is a grudge match. Bray Wyatt lost about his 3 or 4 first WrestleMania matches, and he's now, this is the second year facing guys that he's fought before. Last year was John Cena. He won that rematch in a match. It was like cinematic skit match, but he pinned him 1, 2, 3. Now it's Randy Orton's turn. And Randy Orton, after burning him alive, after trying to destroy this evil spirit who's been haunting him, with Alexa Bliss, who's been torturing him with, getting his body possessed, with spitting out like black blood or goo, whatever you want to call it, oil, just haunting him. And this is easily going to be Bray Wyatt's, win. It's not going to be a quick match, like 1, 2, 3, it's over. In less than a minute. It's going to be a good match, but I expect Bray Wyatt, the Fiend, to win. Night 2's celebrity matchup. It's not really a match, let's say, as far as like for the celebrity, right? So it's Sami Zayn with Logan Paul, who y'all should know from YouTube, from his boxing time, his short lived one so far, and versus Kevin Owens. Basically, Sami Zayn thinks there's a conspiracy in the WWE to make sure he doesn't succeed, that he is held down, and blah 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 blah. When you try to cheat to win as a bad guy, and you're supposed to, right? As a bad guy, you're supposed to try to cheat to win, but the ref catches you. It's not a conspiracy. But of course, if you reach out to Twitter and you're able to get the services of Logan Paul, who is a big conspiracy nut, mind you, remember Logan Paul is down to like talk about conspiracy theories, down to talk about, he seems like a pretty chill guy. He likes Pokemon cards. He likes opening them up, selling them, and all this shit. Mind you, there's a big controversy where Logan Paul and friends were filming in a forest in Japan, and he came across this dead body that was hung on a tree. And rather than just turning off the camera and, being, a human being, he's being today's generation's fucking recording everything, and went to the dead body with the freaking camera, recording everything, then puts it all on YouTube and all this shit. So, that controversy. If you know about it, cool. If you don't, look it up. Pretty sure you won't be able to find the real clip. These days you have to find the edited edition because YouTube will just take down the real clip. Sami Zayn thinks everyone's against him. He's that paranoid schizophrenic right now. So with that, I'm going to give Sami Zayn to win. I think Sami Zayn will win the match because the only thing Kevin Owens promised was he's going to beat Sami Zayn senseless to get him to remember who he was and get back his friend. But that doesn't necessarily mean he has to win the match. I think pretty much Sami Zayn will cheat to win, either with the help of Logan Paul or he'll just find a way to cheat to win. And then after the match, Kevin Owens will kick his ass. And Kevin Owens will probably have his WrestleMania moment where he wanted last year. He wanted this last year before the pandemic hit and they had to relocate WrestleMania and shut shit down. He wants to jump off the damn pirate ship that's at the Raymond James Stadium. He wants to jump off there, hit a big move, all this cool shit. So I think it might happen. I think he'll be able to do that. But I think Sami Zayn will win. Sami Zayn's a bit of a losing streak. He's a bit of a comedy act, and they made him into like a jobber recently. Yeah, I don't even remember the last time he's won a match. But his character is so entertaining that WWE is like, you know what? He's too good to keep off WrestleMania. So let's put him on there. Let's bring in Logan Paul. And let's make it entertaining. So that's my pick. And post-match beatdown, I expect it to be a good one. All right. The WWE Women's Tag Team Championship match. Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler, the Women's Tag Team Champions, 2-time Women's Tag Team Champions, alongside Reginald, which is like, Now Jax's boy toy servant, blah blah. He's just cool. He's cool, man. He's like he does acrobatics, all this shit well. Like he's trained to be a wrestler as well, or he's a trained wrestler. And they're facing off against TBA, which if you saw my last video, I didn't know I kept TBAs for in case I changed my mind of who I originally picked. I said Natalya and Tamina. I think Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler retain the titles. They have Reginald to do the distraction outside. There's no reason for anything else. Yeah, and that's about it. Like, there's not really much to say about it. This is going to be a okay matchup. I'm kind of hoping the tag team Turmoil that they add other teams to it. Like, they're teasing Billie Kay and Carmella. There's talks about maybe Bayley and Charlotte. Personally, I would say, how about Bayley and Peyton Royce? But let's get more teams in there, like, because that tag team Turmoil match is just, it's like I don't care, honestly, and I don't really care about this match. They've really got nobody to step up to really challenge Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler. They're two badasses. One's a big monster heel, and the other one's a former MMA fighter that just kick your ass. And I have no reason to believe that anybody can beat them. I mean, they lost once to Asuka and Charlotte, and they won it back quickly. So, yeah, there's just nobody I believe right now that can beat them. So, let's make it entertaining. Let's change it up. I hope I'm wrong on both predictions, but we'll see. This is going to be a fight. This is going to be two guys who just don't give a fuck. There's the stiffest guys. I mean, stiff. I mean, they'll hit you, like legitimately punch you. They'll legitimately kick you, knee you, all this shit. These are guys that don't want to hold back. They want a real good fight in the ring, but they're going to be professional about it, of course. They don't want to throw like fake hands and all this shit. So it's going to be good. Former MMA fighter for the UFC, Matt Riddle, is the current United States champion for the WWE. He defends his title against Sheamus, a 4-time world champion, a former 2-time US champion, a multiple-time tag team champion. This is going to be a hell of a match, a barn burner, as Jim Ross, JR, would say. And Matt Riddle's going to be the champion. He's going to retain. He's got the gimmick that Vince McMahon likes right now. I mean, shit. He legitimately forgot his lines in a WWE taping during a backstage promo. Vince thought it was so funny and liked it so much, he kept it for live television. What? No one. People who did that, who if they did a backstage promo and they forgot their lines live, they'd get chewed out. And who knows what? Randy Orton forgot once, and he had to ask Sheamus in the middle of the ring. But it's Randy Orton, so he can get away with it. Anyone else, anyone lower, just no, they couldn't get away with it. But Matt Riddle, he can get away with it. Vince loves him. Vince believes in this guy, and he's a hell of a talent in ring. Promo can work. He needs some work on promos, but other than that, yeah, I don't care. This match is gonna be good. Riddle, Sheamus. I'm gonna pick a Riddle for this match. Oh, why do they come up with the stupidest names? All right. So for the Intercontinental Championship, we got the champion Big E versus Apollo Crews. Now, Apollo Crews has been a Mr. Catering for the last few years. Like, he's been a guy who's been stuck in catering, not being put to use for his in-ring time, all this shit. In the last year, he's been United States champion. He's had a lot of TV time. But in the last month, he has a character change. He's now dug in his roots. He's giving up his ways as a California, Sacramento kid to his family's upbringing. They're Nigerian, royalty. So we're gonna have a Nigerian drum fight. The fuck is that? What is a Nigerian drum fight? You know what I thought about instantly when they came up with this stupid ass name? Because I'm pretty sure it's just gonna be a street fight. I thought about the movie Black Panther. You know when Black Panther, R.I.P. Chadwick Boseman, you remember when he goes out and has to like fight to defend his name, his reign as king, and he has to fight M'Baku, and then later on he fights Killmonger. He fights in that fucking waterfall. That's what I thought this shit was. A Nigerian drum fight. This dude's had the character for like 1 fucking month. And we're supposed to go with, he's a Nigerian royalty. Let's go ahead and do this amazing fight. Amazing. They've had like 6 fucking one-on-one matches, and Big E's won all of them. Or this is going to be the 6th one. It's just... I don't mind the character change. Like, if you're going to be a bad guy, like, change it up if you want. Cool, like, whatever. But Big E to retain. A Nigerian drum fight. Who comes up with these names sometimes? I just wonder, like, the names. All right. For the Raw Women's title championship, we have Asuka, the champion. She's been a 2-time Raw Women's champion for the last year since Becky Lynch had to leave because of getting pregnant. Thanks a lot, Seth Rollins. I'm just kidding. She faces a newcomer in the main roster, Rhea Ripley. Former NXT Women's Champion, former NXT UK Champion. Rhea Ripley is this badass woman. Like, she just, you look at her and you know that she's gonna kick your ass. I mean, fuck. I think she'll kick my ass in real life. Though that's because I'm just a big guy. Anywho, gonna be a good matchup here. Now, this is okay. So, if for y'all who don't know, this matchup has been actually Plan C. And what I mean by that is they had other matches ahead of this one before this one came to be. And this is why, like, they only had like a 3-week buildup. So originally, Asuka was supposed to lose her title 2 pay-per-views ago to Lacey Evans. She was getting mentored by Ric Flair. She was, annoying Charlotte Flair. And she was going to have a match with Asuka, and she was supposed to win the title off her. Lacey Evans ends up getting pregnant because WWE and their stupidity, they like to keep the women guessing, and the men in the back, not use them for a long time. And so the people back there are thinking, well, let's see, maybe I want to do something different with my life. So Lacey Evans was planning to get pregnant. So she's already planning to get pregnant, and out of nowhere, WWE's like, hey, would you like to be in a program where you win the women's title? Well, shit. By then, she's already been trying to get pregnant. So, of course, she's going to immediately have to stop that shit after she's already tried multiple times. And then about 4 weeks later, about 2 weeks before the freaking matchup, she comes out and says she's pregnant. And then fans and maybe people in the WWE like get pissed at her about the shit. Like, what do you want her to do? She was being unused for months. And all of a sudden you're like, oh, hey, let's use you for this big moment. Like, she didn't know. Like, there's so much frustration in the back, of wrestlers, men and women that are just unused, that have all this talent, have this charisma that's being unused. And of course they're going to plan shit around their lives. I mean, hell, there's a guy named Bo Dallas, which is Bray Wyatt's brother, who is still under contract, but hasn't been using over a fucking year, since like late 2019. But he's still getting paid. He's doing his real estate life. He's doing his farm life with his girlfriend, Liv Morgan. So, yeah, no shit. Lacey Evans is going to, get knocked up probably and all this shit like that. Like, she wanted a kid. And y'all came up all late. So, your fault, WWE. Plan B was, well, since Lacey got pregnant, well, she was feuding with Charlotte. So, you know what? Now that Charlotte's free, Asuka's free, Asuka gets a be champion still. Let's put them in a match. It's a rematch from WrestleMania 34. Let's go ahead and have them go at it again, and let's put the title on Charlotte. Guess what? Charlotte and her boyfriend and fiance Andrade, who was recently released, they got COVID-19. So, because there's been so many people that got COVID-19, or not so many people, like very few, like in WWE, but there's one instance right now where one of them's having ladder effects, I think. And like Keith Lee, if you're wondering who I'm talking about, like his girlfriend, his now fiance had COVID. So it's to assume that he got COVID as well. She came back healthy and all this stuff, but he hasn't been used since. Or he had used one more time But then after that, they kept him on the sidelines with like injury. So I'm assuming that he might have either some after effects from COVID or he's just injured and shit like that. So they pulled Charlotte from the match. They said, we never booked it, so fuck it. Let's just pull her, take her off the card. We've been promoting Rhea Ripley. She was going to be probably most likely debuting the night after WrestleMania. Fuck it. Let's bring her early and let's put her in the match. And now we get to see a fresh matchup that I think people will really enjoy. I don't think people give a shit about Lacey Evans versus Charlotte Flair, which is where that match was going, plan A. I don't think people gave a shit about Asuka versus Charlotte because we've seen that match multiple times. Asuka and Rhea Ripley is fresh. They have never competed against one another as far as we know. So it's going to be a fresh matchup. And to top it off, I'm going to give Rhea Ripley the title. New to the company. She's the new Batgirl. She's the new heel. She's going to freaking destroy everybody for the most part. Maybe until Charlotte returns or Becky Lynch or shit, Lacey Evans when she's back from maternity leave. I mean, shit, let's make it happen. Rhea Ripley for new women's champion. Whew, I need a drink. Real quick. Been talking too much. Don't even know it's my water. Permanent Weiss. All right. In the main event of night 2 for the WWE Universal Championship, we got the big dog, the tribal chief, the head of the table, Roman Reigns versus Daniel Bryan versus the 2021 Royal Rumble winner and the 11-time world champion, Edge. This has been the best storyline build-up going into WrestleMania. This is the one with the most intrigue. Now, originally, this was going to be planned as Roman Reigns versus Edge. The problem is that Roman Reigns has been a bad guy only since August. But before that, he was a good guy since like early 2014. So all that time he's been forced to be a good guy, shoved down the throats of the fans, like if he's John Cena and all this shit. Well, now he's a heel. Now he's the bad guy, and people like him. When you're John Cena or when you get shoved our throats like John Cena, you tend to get booed, even if you're the good guy. I mean, this man had, gotten cancer for a second time in his life. And then he came back and people showed sympathy for a while and then people booed again. But now that he's been a cool bad guy for the last 8 months, he's going to get cheered at WrestleMania most likely. And the WWE feared that. So they decided instead of a bad guy, Roman Reigns, who's going to get cheered by the fans, versus a babyface Edge who will probably get a mixed reaction because they're going to be cheering for Roman Reigns, they decided the best course of action was to put Daniel Bryan in the match. Edge won the Royal Rumble. He went in as number 1, and he won. He's the third man to do it. We can't mention who's the second because WWE has, stopped saying his name. It's Chris Benoit, in case you're wondering. It's Chris Benoit. And Shawn Michaels was the first. So to try to not put on the heat too much on Edge, they put in the fun-loving, best technical wrestler since the passing of Chris Benoit, I would say. So that means like the last 14 years. And now Daniel Bryan, he's been the best technical wrestler. I think fans will still cheer Roman Reigns. I think you'll get mixed reaction for Daniel Bryan and Edge. I don't think it'll make a difference. I think they should have kept it 1-on-1. I think Edge versus Roman Reigns is fine. It's a match that's never happened before. These guys can go. These guys can go. Like there's no reason for it. But it is what it is, right? Daniel Bryan's a great talent. Fuck it. Like, you know what? If you're gonna put anyone in, hell, might as well be Daniel Bryan, right? So we have a triple threat match. A lot of speculation. Daniel Bryan's also in it just so that Roman Reigns doesn't have to take the pinfall loss. Okay. The right pick to be walking out Universal Champion at WrestleMania is Roman Reigns. He's the biggest star right now in the company. The absolute biggest. WWE's been pushing him to the moon since the beginning. That's why he's been tag team champion. 3-time WWE champion, 2-time Universal champion, former US champion, former Intercontinental champion. They've been pushing him. And Edge, who's a 47-year-old who had to retire for like 9 years because of neck surgery, doesn't need to be world champion again. He had 11 reigns. In a 5-year span, he had 11 championship reigns. Daniel Bryan's been multiple-time champion. He's already gotten back his Cinderella story victory from his big moment at WrestleMania 30 to winning it again back in what, 2018? Yeah, late 2018. Before he lost it to Kofi Kingston. These guys have had their moments, but Roman Reigns is a younger guy. Mid-30s, all the momentum in the world, is the biggest badass in the company. And I think he should be the champion all the way till next year's WrestleMania. So he would have it for about a year and 8 months. I think that's what they should do. Daniel Bryan does not need it. Edge doesn't need it. Roman Reigns should be walking out Universal Champion, and I think he will. So those are my picks, guys. Fuck, that was like 14 damn matches to talk about. But it's going to be spread out over 2 nights. It's not going to be just one night. So that's going to be good. So I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you enjoyed WrestleMania this week. I hope you enjoyed TakeOver because honestly, guys, these are great cards overall. These are going to be some of the greatest competitors out there. And I think you should watch tonight, TakeOver Night 1 on USA Network. Night 2, TakeOver on Peacock exclusively. And then WrestleMania Night 1 and 2 on Saturday and Sunday exclusively on Peacock. It's going to be a hell of a card. Those 4 nights. Watch SmackDown. They're going to have the Andre the Battle Royale, which is all right. It's a filler match. And then they're going to have a Fatal 4-Way Tag Team match for the SmackDown tag titles. That's going to be fun. That's the Mysterios, Ray and his son Dominic versus Alpha Academy, Otis and Chad Gable versus the Street Profits, Montez Ford and Angelo Dawkins versus the champions, the Dirty Dogs, Bobby Roode and Dolph Ziggler. That's going to be a hell of a match. The talent is right there. I'm sad that they're not on WrestleMania. I think they should be in the WrestleMania card, but they're going to have the main event spot for SmackDown leading into it. So fuck it. Go out, guys. Have a fucking fight. Have a show. So if y'all watched, guys, enjoy the shows. I will tonight, definitely starting with TakeOver. As you know, follow the podcast on Instagram at Puro Peach Sports Podcast. Follow us on Twitter at PPS_podcast. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share the YouTube page, guys. Definitely appreciate all the support that we've had throughout the last year that we've been up as far as the podcast and video. We're going to start putting up content as far as audio back onto the podcast edition as well. Some of the YouTube videos, not all, because we don't need to put all of them on there. But do enjoy it. The big debate between me and Marco, between Alexander Volkanovski and Max Holloway, the rematch that they had last year, is on the audio version right now. So if you haven't checked it out on the video, check it out on the audio then, guys. But thank you for joining us tonight. And this is Puro Pinche Sports.